We'll start the live stream and then we'll get Mr. Teague back in the room.
Right. Good morning, everybody. Before I formally start the meeting, I confirm that this meeting is being held in accordance with the Licensing Act 2003 and the Licensing Act Hearing Regulations 2005, which allow councils to make their own arrangements for licensing subcommittee to hear matters in connection with the premises licenses. Right, I will begin by introducing the subcommittee members and the officers who will be present throughout the meeting. I'm the chair, Councillor Polly Andrews, and to my left we have Councillors Peter Hamlin and Councillor Dave Davis who will be assisting. A legal advisor to my right is Lorna Lewis, clerk to the subcommittee is Matthew Evans, and technical support is Alfred Rees-Glidus. Other attendees will be introduced at relevant stages in the meeting. Please would you note the following points with regard to the conduct of this meeting. The Council is video and audio streaming this meeting on the internet and making a recording. The recording forms part of the public record of the meeting and will be available on the Council's website. Please remember what say and during this meeting has a global reach, and your words and actions should be chosen carefully. The chat facility has been switched off to ensure that attendees' contributions can be offered through the spoken word and or the public record. Please ensure that all your mobile devices are switched to silent. If any remote attendee loses connection, the meeting will be paused to ascertain if the recording can be restored quickly. If it is not possible to recover the connection with a reasonable amount of time, the meeting will continue as long as the quorum of subcommittee members remains able to hear the proceedings and be heard. If you plan to leave before the end of the meeting, please can you indicate this in advance. Are there any questions about the procedure before we continue? No? Thank you. I will now proceed with the formal agenda of the meeting. Do we have any apologies for absence? No?
No apologies.
And are there any named substitutes? None. No. Are there any interests to be declared for the item on the agenda today? No. We now move to the first substantive item on the agenda. Application for a grant of premises licence in respect of the buyers, Townsend Farm, Brampton Abbott, Ross-on-Wye, HR 97JE, Licensing Act 2003. The purpose of this is to consider an application for a grant of premises licence in respect of the buyers, Townsend Farm, under the Licensing Act 2003. In attendance, we have online, on behalf of the Licensing Authority, Fred Spriggs. Fred, are you there?
Yes, I am, Chair. I can see and hear you.
Thank you very much. I will go to the remote attendees to confirm that you are able to hear me, and I will confirm in response that I can hear you. Where practicable, please have your video switched on so that you can be seen by members in attendance and the public watching. Check the remote attendees. Mr. Miller Hall, are you there?
He's not online at the moment.
He's not online at the moment, right. Mr. Teague, on behalf of the Parish Council, can you see and hear us?
I can see and hear you, yes.
Thank you. And for the applicant, Mr. Taylor Davis, you're the applicant. Can you see and hear us?
I can hear and see you, yes.
Thank you. Right. We will start. Mr. Fred Spriggs will give the presentation first. Mr. Spriggs.
Thank you, Chair. As you say, this is to consider an application for the grant of a premises licence in respect to the Briars, Townsend Farm, Brampton Abbots, Ross-on-Wye, HR 97JE under the Licensing Act 2003. There are a number of recommendations before the committee, and that is that the committee determine the application with a view to promoting the licensing objectives and the overall interests of the local community. You should give appropriate weight to the steps that are appropriate to promote the licensing objectives, the representations including supporting information presented by all parties, the guidance issued under Section 182 of the Act, and the Herefordshire Council Statement of Licensing Policy 2022-2025. There are alternative options. There are a number of options which are open. You can grant the license subject to conditions that are consistent with the operating schedule accompanying the application, the mandatory conditions as laid down in the Act. You can grant the license subject to modified conditions that operating schedule. You can exclude from the scope of the license any of the licensable activities which the application relates. You can refuse to specify a person as the premises supervisor. And finally, you can refuse the application. The application is brought before you because it has received relevant representation and is there for you now for you to determine. The Herefordshire Council Statement of Licensing Policy 2025 states all representations must be relevant. For example, they must be about the likely effect of the grant on the application. The applicant is Benjamin Taylor Davis. The application was received on the 8th of August. The 28-day consultation period started on the 9th of August, which meant it finished on the 5th of September. The application advice was applied for using the local licensing authority's pre-application service, which can be found in Appendix 1. The application requests the grant of a premises license for the following activities during the hours. This is live and recorded music, indoors and outdoors, and that is only on a Friday from 6 o'clock in the evening till 9 o'clock in the evening, on a Saturday from 1 o'clock in the afternoon till 10 o'clock at night, and on a Sunday from 3 o'clock in the afternoon till 7 o'clock in the evening. The sale of alcohol for consumption on and off the premises, again from Friday from 3 o'clock in the afternoon until 10 o'clock at night, on a Saturday from 1 o'clock in the afternoon till 11 o'clock at night, and on a Sunday from 1 o'clock in the afternoon until 8 o'clock at night. There is an application for non-standard timings, and that's in relation to bank holiday Sundays, 12 midday until 10 o'clock at night, bank holiday Mondays, 12 midday until 7 p.m, Christmas Eve from midday until 11 o'clock at night, and New Year's Eve from midday until 1 o'clock the following morning, Valentine's Day from midday until 11 o'clock at night, and late night refreshment indoors and outdoors, and that's only on New Year's Eve from 11 o'clock at night till 1 o'clock in the morning. I should point out to the committee that under the Live Music Act 2012 as amended, an alcohol licensed premises can have live and recorded music from 8 o'clock in the morning till 11 o'clock at night for up to 500 people without the need for these activities to be on the premises license. Late night refreshment is only applicable between the hours of Monday to Sunday, 11 o'clock at night until 5 o'clock the following morning. A set of conditions to promote licensing objectives based on the model pool of conditions from the Herefordshire Council policy was proposed by the applicant, and this will form part of the license if granted. Those conditions you can find at Appendix 2 within your background papers. One representation was received from Environmental Health, and this has been accepted by the applicant, and that can be found at Appendix 3. There are 14 relevant representations from members of the public in line with the licensing objectives of the prevention of public nuisance, which the licensing authority has accepted as being relevant, and those can be found at Appendix 4. 2 representations received from the members of the public which were not deemed to be relevant and therefore we rejected. A number of relevant representations highlighted concerns about increased traffic, though the licensing community, all parties should be aware this cannot be considered under the Licensing Act, and all parties have been advised of this prior to today's hearing. On the 17th of September, the applicant wrote to objectors outlining the application and conditions he proposed and agreed to adhere to, and that's within Appendix 5 of your background papers. As a result of that, 2 representations made by the public have been withdrawn, and that's at Appendix 6. Any decision may have an impact on the local community. The report in relation to the premises under the Licence Act 2005 will have minimal environmental impact for the council, and under the Equalities Duty Act, the general duty of the public is set out. A public authority must, in exercising its sanction, have due regard to eliminated discrimination, harassment, victimisation, any other conduct that is prohibited or under this Act, advance equality or opportunity between persons who share a relative protected characteristic of persons who do not share it, foster good relations between persons who share a relevant protected characteristic and persons who do not. There are no equality issues in relation to this report. You'll be aware of the implications under the Human Rights Act. There's unlikely to be any financial implications to the council, and you're aware of the legal implications, which is contained within your background papers, which obviously your legal advisor will advise you on should you need further information. There is a right of appeal to the Magistrates' Court by any party, and such appeal must be lodged with them within a period of 21 days of receiving the written decision. There's little risk associated, therefore, with the decision, as there is a right of appeal. That is the application, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Spriggan. Thank you for the clarification over the fact that music can be played without a reference to a licence. Thank you. Have you any questions, committee, that you would ask?
No.
No.
I think, Martin, I think that was a very good, clear
Thank you very
presentation.
much. Right. We will go to Mr. Teague then, who represents the Parish Council. Mr. Teague?
Okay,
Could
thank
I
you.
just remind you, please, to begin with, that our highways are not part of our remit, and any discussions on that I'll ask you not to include.
No, indeed. Okay, thank you and good morning. Just to confirm, I am here to present the views of the Brampton Abbots and Foy Parish Council, who have objected to the application for the licence. This licence was considered at the Parish Council meeting on the 31st of August, where strong concern was voiced by all of the residents present. The Parish Council and parishioners have submitted representations expressing their concerns. Today, I'm just going to highlight the key concerns of the Parish Council. The Herefordshire Council Statement of Licensing Policy states, Herefordshire is a mixed commercial area with many areas lying in tranquil rural surroundings, whose amenity Herefordshire Council has a duty to protect. Brampton Abbots and Foy Parish is such a tranquil rural parish, fitting this description. It is also in the AONB. Our NDP states that the parish supports proposals for development of small-scale business enterprises suitable to a rural area such as this, where it does not have a significant adverse impact on, amongst other things, its residential amenity, its rural character, trafficking tranquility. A separate planning application has been submitted for other buildings within the site of this licensing application. These are intended to house other activities. The Parish Council is surprised that the buildings to be used for this activity, the activities subject to this license application, are not subject to a separate planning application as well. The application site is in Brampton Abbots itself. Brampton Abbots is a hamlet within the parish. Brampton Abbots is made up of clusters of houses, 2 of which adjoin the site, and others are very close by. Brampton Abbots is a very tranquil area where any noise, lighting and increase in traffic is very noticeable. There is concern in particular about noise coming from the site. The application is to allow live music indoors and outdoors on a Friday, Saturday and Sunday, plus for non-standard timings for bank holidays and other special dates. The applicant in his letter in response to objectors states that the site would not be open routinely on these days or hours. He also states that it is not his intention, and I quote, to bring increased noise issues or cause any disturbance to our neighbours. That is reassuring, but the parish cannot rely on intentions. There has to be evidence to confirm that the activities will not cause disturbance and what preventions will need to be put in place to stop noise extending beyond the boundary of the site. The applicant refers to holding community activities. Nothing has been submitted to evidence whether there is a community need. The applicant has not canvassed the community. Brampton Abbots, in fact, is a village hall, which is already used for community activities. This was recently repaired following storm damage, the repairs being funded by a public works loan. Clause 8.2 of the licensing policy states that the applicant should make contact with local residents who may be affected. As far as the parish council is aware, no contact has been made. The parish council applauds anyone who at their own cost makes efforts to improve their environmental footprint and looks to educate the general public. However, the parish council and our parishioners are very concerned that the activities intended from the licensing application and the separate planning application will have an adverse impact on Brampton Abbots in terms of noise. The parish council is very prepared to engage with the applicant to see if a balance can be found whereby an activity can take place without there being any adverse impact in terms of noise. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Teague. I would say that we are not the planning committee, we are the licensing committee. And just make that clear.
Can I just respond on that? I mean, I understand that, but we were looking at this in the context of everything else that's going on.
Thank you. Are there any questions you wish to ask? Mr. Teague? No, thank you. Mr. Miller Hall has not
joined the meeting.
Not joined the meeting, right. Mr. Taylor Davis, the applicant.
Thank you very much. Okay, so a set of conditions to promote the licensing objectives will form part of the license, and also conditions were agreed with environmental health, as you mentioned. These include CCTV, staff training on the sale of alcohol, incident log, challenge 25, compliance at adjusting noise levels, and signage to leave premises quietly. As you could probably tell by my reaction as well, I didn't realise that I didn't need an application if it was less than 500 people. We intend to have gatherings of less than 30. So I would like to remove that part of the application, and I apologise. On the 17th of September 2023, I wrote to the objections outlining the application made and the conditions I proposed and agreed to adhere to. And as a result, 2 of these representations were withdrawn. Of course, I'm disappointed by this, as the hours sought in my application I feel is not excessive. And as you can see, it is for weekends. And of course, a few bank holidays. A number of representatives highlighted that I hadn't consulted with them over the application. I had actually consulted, obviously, with all of our near neighbours. I have demonstrated I comply with regulations by supplying photographic evidence of the notices at the premises, along with a copy of the newspaper page. Also, I understand the application was on the council's website for the full consultation period. I'm not aware it was a requirement for me to consult with the neighbourhood individually. A number of representations state there is already a village hall that acts as a community hub, and that recently has undergone a complete refurbishment at a cost to local residents on payment of their council tax, and that residents have a financial vested interest, of course. It is not my intention, of course, to take away that community hub. My plan is to add extra resources to the community. But thanks for giving me this opportunity to speak. Life, of course, is full of compromises, and that is what I'm seeking today. Compromises like my son 11 years ago being kicked in the head by a horse, suffering a severe brain injury with special needs, and a totally sensory overload to loud music, which often brings on his seizures, of which he's on continuous medication. It has been mentioned numerous times that in representations that Brampton Abbots is a hamlet comprising of 125 houses in the last consensus, rising now to about 150, with over 18-year-olds now at a count of 300. And with a church, I fail to see how this is a hamlet and more a village. Thankfully, the objections mention the AONB, something we are immensely proud of here at Townsend Farm, after just receiving the accolade of the Wye Valley AONB Farmer of the Year 2023, and being asked to host a Christmas celebration of the food produced in the AONB. They just happened to have emailed me this morning asking if they thought I might have a license there in order to sell mulled wine, of which we will find out. This, of course, fulfills point 2 of the neighbourhood development plan. And point 3 of that neighbourhood development plan looks to provide assistance to support a genuine lifetime opportunity for families like mine and others to work and grow. It would seem obvious that our collaboration with our nearest neighbours that were mentioned of the 2 houses in close proximity to provide sales of both regenerative wine from our own regenerative vineyard and our own brewery. Currently, we are unable to sell any of our produce to people that keep asking. This, of course, fulfills point 4 of the neighbourhood development plan to welcome visitors and support local businesses to enable them to thrive and prosper. Small social gatherings, whether following a public tour of the farm, of which we do many, or the potential to host a wine and beer tasting evening, but also the provision of things like carol singers at Christmas and bagpipes to see the new year in. Folk guitar on a summer evening. We are not looking to hold rock concerts and certainly not large music events. This application is about a small, quiet family time. The farm and my consultancy business is based around a sustainable future of landscape recovery and biodiversity enhancement, whilst enhancing the opportunities for members of the public to be provided with open access, of which we've opened 6 new footpaths, to healthy, locally grown food and drink. I'm more than happy to have restrictions on decibels produced, restrict the music to just 1 set of any given evening, so there's definitely no music festival, and restrict the music to a maximum of twice a month, if not less. We just worried that if somebody started carol singing or if somebody bought a guitar, that we were very nervous of being granted a premises license to be in breach. The whole of this application marketing will be about quality time, quality food, quality environment, and quality drink. Prices will be set as level to dissuade those with the mindset to drink excessively in order to uphold the licensing laws, which I take extremely seriously. The provision of any music could compromise a license, which is why it appears belt and braces is the option selected here, but not the necessity. I am open to all compromise.
Thank you very much, Mr. Taylor Davis. Could I just clarify, you have, I understand, contacted those people who objected, you've contacted them personally?
I have, yes.
Yes, thank you. Committee?
I was just trying to get a full overview of the enterprise. Are the events that you're going to be holding purely to be booked, or are there casual walk-in customers going to be involved?
It'll be bookings. It'll be things like a vineyard tour with a wine tasting afterwards, a tour of the brewery, for instance, with tasting afterwards, and then some events like the AONB pre-advertised festival of food to celebrate all that's good in the Wye Valley, food and obviously drink, and that would involve things like mulled wine, I'm sure, around, because it'll be a Christmas event. So it's not going to be one of these totally open all hours, all days for forever. That's definitely not the intention. We haven't the time.
That's helpful, thank you.
Councillor Davis?
No, nothing to add.
No other questions? Right, thank you very much, Mr. Taylor Davis. Right, we will now adjourn. Mr. Miller Hall has not.
He still hasn't joined the meeting.
He hasn't come at all. Oh, well, we will have to accept that he's apparently changed his mind or about coming. Right, thank you. We will now adjourn to discuss the application. Would you like to come back at, say, 11:30?
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Okay,
No
goodbye.
problem. Bye.
Oh, Mr. Teague appears to be there.
Thank you. Can I confirm that everybody can see and hear me?
Yes.
Mr. Spriggs?
Yeah.
Parish Council? Mr. Teague, can you hear and see me?
Just on
I was
mute.
on. Yeah, I can hear you. Thank you.
And Mr. Taylor Davis, can you see and hear me?
I can, yes.
Thank you very much. The licensing committee have discussed the application and for the buyers Townsend Farm, Brampton Abbott. The subcommittee's decision is to grant the application as applied for with the additional conditions which were put forward by the Environmental Health Department and have been agreed by the applicant. Our reasons, the subcommittee has considered the verbal representations heard today and the written representations from members of the public and fully recognise the concerns raised and the reasons why the representations were made. However, the subcommittee considers the application made with the additional conditions will promote the licensing objectives. But I would add an amendment. We would like to clarify to members of the public that you can go to the licensing department of Herefordshire Council with any evidence-based concern. Thank you very much, everybody, and I now close the meeting at 11:27.